Welcome back, everybody, to the Dead Shell Talk. On today's episode, we're coming to you from the extremely haunted Wilson County Jailhouse Museum in Floresville, Texas, about 30 miles from downtown San Antonio. As usual, I'm Dylan. This is
Brian.
And today we're also joined with my wife.
Alice?
On today's episode, we're going to be diving into the world of psychic mediums with our very good friend and extremely talented psychic medium, Mallory Deason.
Hello.
Mallory is a renowned psychic medium from Floresville, Texas, that we have worked with numerous times in the past. She's the lead investigator of the paranormal investigation team, Paranormal Freaks Anonymous, as well as the curator of multiple historical locations in and around the southwestern Texas area. Welcome to the show, Mallory. So, let's go ahead and set the background story to this. You are extremely talented psychic medium. We've worked with you in the past, like I said. Like, I'm really curious, like when you discovered your abilities. Like, how old were you? What happened? Et cetera, et cetera.
So I would have been about 26, 27 years old. And I met a friend of mine that uh, she was all into this. And I'd always liked the paranormal part of it, but, you know, never had any place to get into it. And when I met her, it changed a lot of things. First time I came across the spirit was actually my next door neighbors. And we actually helped get rid of it because it was trying to coax her child out of a crib. They actually heard it talking over the baby monitor.
That's creepy.
So that's when I learned how to do that. And so it was very, very interesting. And for my first time, it was very scary. But I had every confidence in her because she was just one of those type of people that, you could trust. And so, yeah. And I'm going to be 50 this year. So
Yeah, I was gonna.
call my age little.
Well, no, you don't look a day past 30.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Um, I was gonna say, I assume realizing that you have these gifts can be frightening. Like, how did you deal with that? Like, how is that? Like, holy crap, I can do this. Like, what's that like?
It's very humbling. For me, it was just making sure that I protected myself, because we all know that spirits can, latch on to us, follow us. And so the funny thing was, is I was able to do protection and didn't know it. It's kind of something that just I figured it out, and that's how my journey has been. Is Jen and I, she just moved away, and so I wasn't around her, so I had to learn a lot of stuff on my own, and it's been one heck of a journey, let me tell you.
Hmm. And anytime, like through your journey, through the years, is there a time where you ever felt like you wanted to like make it stop? Like, do you have any like stories about like a time where you were like, I cannot do this anymore?
So that had to have been when I was still married to my ex-husband. Basically, he didn't believe in any of this, and without actually truly saying it, telling me that I was crazy. And at that time, I didn't have anybody else to for confirmation, and to tell me that I wasn't crazy. And then luckily, I met I call her my sister from a complete different continent and different parents. From the Cook Islands. She's Maori, and because of her, I didn't shut it off. I went back to doing it. I did shut off one part of my gift, which is I could have dreams that I could see what was coming.
A knower.
Yeah.
Mm.
And so 3 days before 9/11, I had a dream that I was in an airport and these planes were just flying all crazy. And I was trying to find my mother in the airport and I couldn't find her, couldn't find her. And finally I did right before I woke up. And so I told my husband about it as soon as I woke up because it freaked me out completely. And then 2 days later, I was home asleep and I get a phone call. He's like, "Have you turned on the TV?" I was like, "No." He's like, "You need to turn on the TV." And when I did, I literally collapsed to the floor because I was like, if I'm being shown this, why am I being shown this if I can't do anything about it? And that really screwed me up for a very long time. And just literally recently, I have started having my dreams again of things that are going to happen.
Okay, if you see something that's gonna happen bad to me, please give me a phone
Oh, I
call.
will. Trust me, I will. When my AC went out 2 days ago, yesterday, I woke up because I left the fan part of it on, and I had a dream right before I woke up that my RV had caught on fire. As soon as I got up, I went and shut that off because I think if I would have left it, it would have. Because not 2 days before that, I had a dream that I got a new job, and I just had a job interview, and later that day, yeah, I got the job. So
So why don't you play like the lottery, or go to Vegas, or who's going to win
Yeah,
the Super
that's
Bowl, put $1 million on
what
it, like.
everyone would
I
try. Yep.
wish, yes, I would absolutely. I tell people that we can't predict the future, but we can say, okay, this is what could happen, but you can change that. You can make different decisions to not go that direction. And so we can never predict the future. We can just say, hey, this is the road you need to go down if you want this, but you can still make decisions to completely veer away from that if you want to. So it's just, we're trying to help you get down a better road for you, but it's up to you if you go down it or not.
It kind of ties into like the whole scientific aspect of like how many different realities actually exist. And it's
Mm,
like, okay, you
yeah.
made a decision and it changed probably what would have happened. Is there a different reality of what happened to you that you did or didn't do something?
Yeah, very
Like does
likely.
the realities just split when that happens?
Hmm.
Well, a lot of people call that sometimes the Mandela effect. And, where weird things happen, they lose something. And so there's been a lot of things I've seen where there is like multiple, like we're running multiple lifetimes. Like we may be conscious of this one, but there's part of us that's also in another one that we're conscious of that one, but not conscious of each other. And so, yeah, it is. It's kind of like
Oh
a
yeah.
library, you go in, you could pull open the book and maybe jump into that life and see what it's like, when we die. I believe in reincarnation. It's been proven to me enough that I believe in reincarnation. And I've had enough things from the past come back that, yeah, I'm a firm believer in that too. So,
Yeah, you hear all those crazy stories of like children who go to. There was a really famous one of a kid who went to I think it was a naval yard of some sort, and there was like an old fighter pilot, and then he was just going on and on and on about how he flew the plane and he knew the ins and outs of it and all that stuff. But
he knew names.
yeah, names like, oh yeah, I
Yeah.
knew Jimmy, he was
Hmm.
my wingman or whatever, and the parents were like, oh, that's cool, kid, you know what I
Very
mean?
detailed.
Yeah, no, it was like bizarre. Yeah, like
But
Uh-huh.
he got to meet them.
Mm.
Some of the men that he
Oh,
flew with, in his other life, he got to meet them and was able to say, yeah, that's so and so, that's so and so, that's so and so. And yeah, he's like 4 or 5 years old and new. And it's like, there's no way a kid just knew that. I mean, he can't read and their attention span's not long enough to memorize how a plane works and all that kind of stuff. So it's like, yeah, that one probably more than anything blew my mind. Yeah.
yeah,
yeah,
there's some.
that's yeah, I just wanted to tie into this. One of the craziest books that my mom has, and I opened it by, accident one day. I was little, but I still vividly remember it actually talked about people that went to therapy because they had traumas that they didn't understand where they come from. So through therapy and especially hypnosis, they were able to unlock memories that they never had in their actual
What
lifetime.
was the name of the book?
I can't remember.
But
Like I said, I might have opened.
it's
Yeah.
past life regressions.
I was just about to
Yeah.
ask, is it
Oh,
past
there
life
you go.
Yes.
regressions?
And it's amazing some of the
Oh.
things you end up figuring it out. I'm like, yeah, I probably need to do that one of these days.
There was I used to listen to the Howard Stern show, and they used to make fun. I can't remember which guy on the show, but he was under hypnosis and he did like past life regressions, and they were like kind of, how Howard Stern is, right? Shock jock, but they were like clowning on him until they weren't. I can't specifically remember what they're talking about, but yeah, even on Howard Stern, they were doing like hypnosis under. I think it was Ronnie actually. Was it Ronnie or was it Sal? Oh, Sal. It was Sal.
There's
But
steps or techniques to it, like
Yeah.
hypnotic induction, reviewing the past,
Mhm.
releasing
Mm.
negative emotions, it's discovering old limiting beliefs.
Well, they think because like some people are scared of water, but they've never
Mm.
had a traumatic experience in this
example.
life in water. One person they did that to a young kid. Come to find out, he was actually a passenger on the Titanic, and that's why he was afraid of water and boats. Didn't want to go anywhere near them.
So is it safe to assume that do you believe that we're all just like recycling on this planet?
Yes, I've only met one person with a new soul.
How do
That was a trip because I can see people's past
all right,
lives.
hold on. That's a lot to
Oh,
unpack.
that's why I was just
Yes.
kind of like, let me just like
Man.
stare. Hold on.
Sorry.
No, that's a
No,
lot
no,
to
we're not.
unpack.
Throw you some stuff
Whoa.
there. How's that?
No, yeah, no, that's what we have all these notes here, right? Just in case, but like we're ready to go in whatever direction life this conversation takes
Just
us.
let
So
it
let's unpack that. What do you mean?
Okay, so When I look at somebody, I can tell them what their past life is. It takes me a minute, but I can usually do that. With him, he asked me what his was, and nothing. And I'm like, wait a minute. Why can't I find a past life? Everybody's got a past life. And I kept looking at him and I'm like, I'm waiting and waiting. And I'm like, he goes, let me guess, I don't have one. And I said, well, apparently not. And he's the only one I've ever come across that there's no past lives. Like, I can look at y'all and tell you some of the past lives you guys had. But him, I couldn't tell you nothing.
Hmm.
Yeah, you were
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Because just because we're male
Nurse.
or female in this life, hmm
Mm.
just because we're male or female in this life doesn't mean that that's what we were in past lives.
No, for sure. Yeah, I was just
So,
like, I just didn't a
Mm.
nurse, huh?
yeah.
Nurse Brian.
Love that.
Maybe it was, I was getting ready to say
Brianna.
Brianna.
Yeah, there you go.
Easy enough.
But I've had what's interesting is when you were talking about that, I had visions of like World War II and like medical wounds and things like that, like in dreams and stuff. And I'm like, okay, this isn't like me playing too much Call of Duty like back in the day. This was like it's just really powerful dreams, for a young person to be having. And when you told me that story, I was like, I've seen things like that in my dreams before, which is like, whoa, here we
Mhm.
are.
And this
Yeah.
this guy, and now that we're past a few minutes into the conversation and YouTube won't demonetize, this fucking guy has the craziest
I don't tell you
dreams.
about him anymore.
No,
I can
I
tell
just,
you every other day, but I'm gonna.
crazy dreams. So
He's probably tired of it.
no, not tired of it. I'm just like, what's Brian?
What's next?
What did he dream of today?
I find them interesting just because some of the aspects that it can pull out of our, normal life and pull into dreams. Because you just never know. And, they say there's different meanings, but sometimes it's exactly what it is, and not some profound thing. It's just like, get your shit together or something like that.
Mm-mm-mm.
Just depends on the dream and, and also what's going on in your life at the time too.
Do you believe that you can actually influence where you will reincarnate next? Like, can you actually do things to maybe have a better life after that? Like some, for example, Hindus, I think they believe that. Yeah, do you believe that you can actually influence that?
I think
Or mm,
so. And I
mm,
think part of the reason we reincarnate too is sometimes we didn't do what we needed to in the past life. So we've come back.
hmm,
I do think we have a choice though. I think we have a choice of either staying in the great beyond, haunting places, or coming back as a guardian angel or reincarnating. And some people won't agree with me, and that's okay. It's what my belief is, but I think that those are choices we get to make.
I actually took that note down last night. I had written, do spirits eventually move on, or do some choose to stay behind on purpose? So that kind of falls into that question. So you answered that bit, but like, is that a thing? Like, so what have they communicated to you, or what have you seen,
Yes.
or what have they that? How does that go for them?
So basically, it's kind of nice. I have a teammate with that basically. So my friend Katie, she does dowsing rods. And so any place that we've gone, how we know that, I can feel them, but it's always kind of nice to have that confirmation with the dowsing rods and they'll start waving back and forth. And so I'm like, okay, let me kind of tune in a little bit more and see who we have. And so I'll sit there and, two people around me describe them so that they understand who I'm seeing. And then for me, I'm better visually when I close my eyes for this, but I can see the light. And I ask archangels, whichever archangels would like to come in and help him cross over, and any family members that have already crossed over. And it is probably one of the most humbling things that I've ever seen. And every time it humbles me because I'm like, wow, I get to see a glimpse of that.
What does it look like?
It is it's hard to describe. It's just the most pure white light that you can possibly see. And you see these archangels and they are huge and they are beautiful. And you're just like, and the energy coming is just tremendous. It's so calming and it's warm and it there's not enough words in human vocabulary to really say what it feels like. That's as close as I can get. And then when you see family members step forward to help them cross over. And I've crossed over small children. I've crossed over, adults all the way into their 90s, and it's it's one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen, and one of the most humbling at the same, because I'm being given or being allowed to see that, and allowed to help that person cross over and be with their family and with God now. And people think that because I'm a medium, I don't believe in God. Yes, I do. Absolutely and completely. He made everything on this earth, including us. And you can call him the universe, you can call him God, whatever you want to call him. It's the same person. It's just that's what we have that name for.
I had that thought. And Alice and I actually talk about this. I wouldn't say like every day or all the time, but we've had multiple.
Often, though.
Yeah, we've had multiple conversations about this, and that was my take on it too. Because, and I tell the people the story about the whole like when I had no idea who you were and you had no idea who I was, and you looked me square in my fucking face and you said, "Did you know Michael follows you?" I tell that story to people all the time, and it really like shook me to my core because nobody believes me. They're like, "Oh, that didn't happen." I'm like, "No, like
She
literally,
saw
like,
the.
they're like, oh, she must have looked at your Facebook." I was like, "Bro, how the would she know that I have a deep spiritual connection with the Archangel Michael?" I'm not a Christian. I'm not a Catholic. What I'm trying to get at is that I've always believed that that's like the same energy, like this like universal energy. You know what I mean? Like God is not like the Christian God or Allah or Buddha. They're all the same energy. You know what I mean? And just like Archangel Michael is not, his name's not Michael. His name is, at least maybe it is. I don't know. But the Catholics call him Michael. He's a being of light. He's an entity. You know what I mean? And yeah, that they're real. And that's yeah. I don't even off on a side tangent, but like I still remember that. I freaking walked into Fluff's White House Cafe. Hi, nice to meet you. Nice to meet you too. Did you know Michael follows you? I said, excuse me?
Well, are
Yeah.
you wearing the pendant around your neck right
Yeah,
now?
I am. I've worn it every day.
Always.
I always wear it. He's very important to me. And yeah, that shit messed me up, man. I was like, what?
Yeah, you just want to when you're around Mallory, you just want to be like,
Yeah. Now,
what can you
Don't
yeah.
give out
see?
any signals.
what can you see?
Well, that's the thing too, is like there are no signals.
No.
That's what impresses me so
No.
much about you is that there are no signals. Like as we we may be believers of the paranormal, which to logical people, I do air quotes like, oh, ghosts aren't real. That's illogical, right? We try to be as logical, grounded, clear-headed as possible when deciding things. And there's been times where we could get a little ahead of ourselves, and who doesn't, right?
Here
but
and
like,
there.
but like we're not stupid people, and there's never been any situations to where I felt like you have like cold read or fished or anything like that. It's always just been very like spontaneous. There is no cold reading. There is no fishing. You know what I mean? Like it's never been like that. It's
I don't believe in doing that, because then you can get preconceived ideas, I guess you could say. And I would much rather go in without those preconceived. I want to go in with my mind open to anything, any one of, what I could end up seeing. I don't want to have, well, when I went into here, this is what I saw. I don't want that, because I want to go in there and see what's there, and not have this preconceived, okay, I know I'm going to see this. Not necessarily. So, yeah, I try to go in without any, and even meeting people. All I knew was Dylan and Brian. I knew no last names, none of that stuff.
because you had talked to Tanya,
So,
right? Or what's your partner's name that helps?
Tara.
Tara, not
Yes.
Tanya. Yeah, you had talked to Tara the whole time, right? Isn't that who you're communicating? Or did he hit
Yeah,
you
yeah,
up?
and then we
I
met
was,
you.
I would say, I think,
met her.
yeah, you guys had talked to Tara.
Tara,
So
yeah, we
I
never
just knew
even-
I was meeting you guys. I didn't even know. She just said Brian and Dylan. That's it. That's all I knew, and that we were meeting you guys to eat. And I literally knew that not, but maybe 10, 15 minutes before y'all got there.
Yeah, she was
So,
wild.
yeah. So
That's just one example.
Yeah. I mean, we could dive way down the rabbit hole.
Well, actually, if you want to, anyone who's listening, if you want to see her work, all of our YouTube videos
Mhm.
have tons of her work.
the orphanage
Mhm.
video.
Oh
and
my
then
God,
the Hill
yeah.
House video. We can talk about that in a second. I was curious though, because you talked about going into places not wanting to know anything. Because I had taken down a note section about like notable cases or experiences that you've had while working cases. Like, is there anyone that like sticks with you? Like anyone in specific where you're just like, that was a lot, or that was beautiful, or whatever.
actually, probably the one that stuck with me is one of the ones we did on the USS Lexington.
Oh, that sounds very interesting.
Ooh.
Please tell.
So that place is amazing. It's an aircraft carrier. It was during World War II.
The Blue Ghost.
Yes, beautiful ship. It's like my home away from home. That's
Mm.
my favorite place to be. It was put in mothballs back in the 90s, and they actually ended up sealing a guy in there. And so when they took it out of mothballs, they found his body. Of course, pretty much almost skeleton. So it was haunted because of an explosion that happened during World War II. So there's already that going on there. So I knew a little bit of the history of the place.
Yeah, kamikaze, right? A
Yes.
kamikaze hit the upper
Yep.
mast.
Yes.
Yep.
And so that place, that one you have a little bit of preconceived. You know that it was bombed or hit by a kamikaze, and then they talk about a spirit that's downstairs. And I can't remember his name to save my life right now. But they don't know that there's so much more. So the last time we were there, they were bringing groups, and we were the primary. Paranormal Freaks Anonymous was the primary on the ship as the investigation group. So when they would bring a group through, they could see our equipment, what we're doing. They could ask questions, things like that. So it was really cool. It was very cool. Well, earlier in the night, they had said that there was a father and son that decided that they were going to um, agitate. They were like,
Mm.
fuck you, and what can you do, and this and that, and
Mm.
just really going at him. I'm sorry, but that instantly makes me mad because I am very, very respectful of military personnel, whether past, present, whatever. I have family that was in the military. My dad was a Vietnam veteran. So I am like very, you don't mess with the military. I don't care if they're deceased, whatever. You don't. And so we found this out, and I told our guy, his name's Bill Miller, love the man, and I was like, I can go take care of that right now. I will go find them, and I will take care of that issue. You just let me know. I'll be the bad guy. He's like, no, I think we've got it. Well, a little bit later, we were so there's the admiral's quarters, and there's this huge conference room there. And so we had all of our stuff. We had a REM pod, and we had K2s and a couple other instruments that we had across the table. They were going ballistic in that room. I had dowsing rods, and I didn't know they were coming in, but all of a sudden the dowsing rods go to the doorway, and this group starts coming in. And then it followed two people the whole way across, which was an older man and a young guy, and followed him all the way across. And then you have to go back out that same way. And when he came back out of that room, it followed him all the way back across. And I mean, the instruments were going nuts. So I had been trying to calm calm the spirits down because I knew they were angry, just as angry as I was. Well, I shouldn't have tried to do that when I'm pissed off. It's not a good thing. So I actually literally stepped off the ship, calmed myself down, and then stepped back on and calmed them down. Then a little bit later, they had a storm come through. They actually had a small tornado that came through. I think it was like an F1. We were on the ship, and we had just come on break, and the big cutout area where you walk into the ship, which is the flight deck or the deck below the flight deck where they would keep all the planes in storage, there was rain just coming in almost all the way to the opposite wall. It was insane.
Shoot.
It's like the spiritual smiting. You know what I mean? It's
Dude,
like the
so-
maelstrom.
Yes. So they sent us all down to the mess hall. And so then we just said, well, you know what? That's going on. Storms wake up spirits even more. So we actually put some of our instruments along a table. We literally saw one go off, then the next one go off, then the next. It was like somebody was running through it. And it was insane because I've never seen that happen on anything. It was awesome.
That's interesting. It's almost like the spirits of the ship knew that the storm was coming through, and they were going through their their battles, not battle stations, but their recovery, because every sailor knows how to do recovery and battening down the hatches, if you will, not on a fighter, but
4 different groups had like the ovulus with them, and 4 different groups had 11 o'clock. And that's when the storm hit, was 11 o'clock.
That's
So, yeah. And I've gone back since just on a day tour and seen some of the people, and they still tell me that was crazy. So, yeah, you can ask some of the people that work there, and they'll tell you, yeah, 11 o'clock, and this is what happened. Yeah,
that is a crazy experience.
it was
indeed.
very intense, let me tell you.
I need to go to the USS Lexington. I've
Yeah,
never been there.
it's
You've never been?
great.
Oh.
Oh, it's awesome.
I've
Yeah,
never been there.
I recommend you go during the daytime so you can do like a day tour. You don't have to go on a guided tour. You can go
Just walk
through
around.
yourself. Yes.
Mhm.
They have a hard hat window that they can do, and they
gotta
take you down
schedule
into
that,
the
but-
bowels. I've actually been all the way to the bottom of the ship. The only thing that kept me from touching the bottom of the ship was a grating, and I would have had to have been able to reach down 3 feet to touch. And then I've been as far up as you can possibly go on that ship.
The ship is, and the funny thing about that ship, and I was telling her, you know, the mess hall area,
Yes.
you can feel
Mm,
the energy
yeah.
running through
Dude,
that
it's
ship.
crazy. That
When
whole
Yeah.
ship is full of energy everywhere. If you go to the sick bay,
Mm,
holy,
sick bay, yeah.
that was insane.
I actually had
mm,
an interesting when Alice and I visited. I was like, you can just like feel and like kind of like imagine the fucking calamity that was happening during this kamikaze attack. You could just almost like feel it. You know what I mean? Like the like people running around and trying, litters and the surgeons and the doctors and the nurses and because it's a floating community.
Yeah,
Not so much like an aircraft carrier, right? I mean,
yeah. It is an aircraft carrier.
or a modern
Yeah,
aircraft
a
carrier,
modern
I
one.
should say.
Yeah, they're a lot bigger and
Yeah.
holy crap.
But the funny thing is the ship is low key kind of scary. Like when you're like the corridors, it's just winding and looping and
yes.
just rusty and
Mm-mm.
it's
You
kind
can
of
get lost, and that
oh,
feeling is very like unsettling.
I say,
Yeah.
especially when you go places that aren't on the route. So that's where we got to investigate was places that were not on the normal route, which was really cool because you get to like, okay, so they did Pearl Harbor. They actually filmed it from that ship. So the part where they're actually in a Japanese ship was actually filmed on, okay, so you have the tower. And so it would be like um, that side of the tower. I don't know directions there because yeah. But you go in there and they still have the Chinese lettering and stuff on a lot of the instruments and things. Well, you don't normally get to go see that because to get to it is a little bit of a pain. But once you get there, it's just like, wow, so cool to see that. And going clear down all the way into the bowels is a whole different ballgame because the energy there is completely different than the rest of it. And that place, so when I go, I can see like the spirits that stay there all the time, I see them. They are actually helping those spirits that are military buys. They come to that ship and they help them either like cross over or move on. And so you have ones that are there all the time, but then you see it's almost like a super highway with all the other, you know, spirits from the men that were in the military that died, and even that maybe retired and are just now passing away, you see them on there. And it's kind of like a halfway point, it seems like, for them to be moved on to someplace else. And so it's very, very interesting. There's one spirit there they call my boyfriend.
No.
Oh.
Why?
interesting. Please do.
He's a fly boy, I can tell you that.
I know
Um,
the Air Force guys are the best. You know what I'm saying?
well, I can't say he's ugly, let me tell you. I'm just saying. But he's always when I go on the ship, that's the first person that that I
Mhm.
had spirit that comes up to me who's like, hey.
I hope he
And
doesn't sound like that. Does he sound like that? That's kind of
no,
scary. No, okay.
no. He's always got a
Hey.
grin, and then he's got those aviator sunglasses,
Oh.
and he kind of pulls those down. I'm like, oh my gosh, really?
Very Top Gun of him.
Oh, wow.
Yes, but he's very, very cool. All the spirits on there really are. I've not ever come across any that weren't. And the ones that stay there all the time are, to me, they're amazing because they're helping their comrades, no matter, being able to deal with being deceased, but then helping them to move on where they want to go.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah. A
um,
sort of lighthouse for the,
yes,
military community.
Blue Ghost for a reason
Whoa.
because it's definitely a beacon, let me tell you, but an amazing one.
Whoa.
And if you haven't gone, I so
Mm,
recommend you go.
It is pretty
mhm.
cool.
It
Yeah,
is
yeah.
an amazing place to be. Absolutely amazing.
What's like the scariest thing you've seen with your abilities?
Because you've been to places like Hill House. You know what I mean? Like there are things scarier than Toby out there.
Yes. So there's the Yoakum Hospital.
Mm.
And I
That we
went,
can't get into anymore.
Yeah,
No.
yeah. Slams fists.
they're supposed to be demolishing it if they
No,
haven't already.
shoot.
Yeah.
It was all boarded up. We took a peek at it when we were at
Yeah.
Yorktown, but yeah, please
And
continue.
it wasn't in the greatest shape when I went there.
I'm sure it's a health hazard.
Yeah, big
Yeah,
time.
okay.
Especially the top floor is the worst, of course, because they did never do anything with the roof.
And if I'm mistaken, before you get going, so people have some background on Yoakum. Yoakum is very similar to Yorktown, a Catholic
Yes.
diocese owned hospital, bad treatment, not giving enough
Mhm.
medication,
Yep.
low staffed, et cetera, et cetera. Okay.
And this one is actually a 3-story with a basement.
Yes, I saw
So,
there is a Paranormal Files video on Yoakum from back in the day if you want to watch it. That's
yeah.
very good.
And so Yoakum is actually the first time I met 2 of my friends back in April that are also part of Paranormal Freaks Anonymous. Um, they, it was kind of a trip meeting them and then being friends with them like almost instantly. It was kind of one of those deals. It was like, oh, cool, and my sister was with me at that time. And so we went there and we get upstairs and I just see this black mass that's just like, the energy coming off of it was just like, okay, this is so not good. And at that time, I was still kind of learning my gift a little bit more of what I could and couldn't do. And so with that one, it's all like all of a sudden, I just kind of knew what I needed to do. And it started running down the hall at us.
Oh God.
Ooh.
And so I'm thinking, oh crap, what do I do? I've got to do something. I've got to protect us. I've got to make sure that this thing doesn't come, get near anybody and all of that. And so there was probably a good 5 seconds that I'm like, freeze.
Mm.
And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, this is what you need to do. And so, I have what I call my balls. I have an onyx one that when it's something mean, ugly, nasty, it gets put on it.
Sorry.
I know it's the balls.
Great
I like my
name.
balls.
I have my balls.
I have my
Yeah.
black one and my white ball.
All right.
So it's all good. One's onyx and one's just pure good energy. It's all the goodness that you can possibly think of for somebody to help protect them from all the negativity that's in the world. And so yeah, the black one goes on the nasty ones
Okay.
and it stays there.
So you
And
said balls. Do you mean like stones or like metaphysical?
like like you see when you blow out bubbles as a kid with the soapy water, that's what the ball looks like.
Oh,
And
I may be stupid. I'm like, you have balls in your hands. Like the one's white,
we could
one's
do that
black.
like orbs.
Yeah.
We could do like an orb. So
Someone knocking on the glass?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes.
There are
Someone
ghosts in the
knocked.
building.
Layla, can you check to see if somebody's at the front door? Sorry.
Sending Layla to check it out.
That we're experiencing paranormal activity.
Oof.
It wouldn't surprise me though.
That would be. Mm-hmm.
Someone is knocking at the front door.
I've heard it before, and it wasn't a human, so
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't surprise me.
Probably
Okay.
some of the kids outside, I'm sure.
There's a huge event in town, so whenever we want to do anything,
Wow.
everyone always comes and follows us.
This is true. Remember, we were at we before we get back to balls, we were in Helena, Texas, with you in the middle of nowhere. Okay, Helena. It's in the middle of nowhere. And the night of all nights that we decided to go film, there is the neighbors, the only neighbors, having a loud party, screaming and drinking. So that's our life. That's what Brian's.
When
I'm
it's
trying to
not
think of all the
trains,
investigations we've ever done where it was just the perfect night and no cut mufflers or no trains or no drunk
I think honestly,
yokels.
when I went with you guys to Hill House, it seemed like that was a pretty good night, actually.
Hill House is relatively quiet. The only
Yeah.
thing you
Cut
got
mufflers.
cut mufflers, but other than that, I mean, we could talk about Hill House. God bless, but
I
that's
want to get back to the balls.
yeah. Let's go.
Okay, back to the balls.
Yeah, and they're not physical. She's
It's energy.
projecting energy.
So I said,
Yes.
I may be stupid. I'm like,
No.
okay. But she's got carry them in her pocket. You know what I mean? Like I'm ready, like Zenyatta or something.
I could probably do that, but I'm okay with that. No, but it's energy that I send, and it's to keep those from hurting others, whether it be with their thoughts, their actions, their energy, because everybody sends off energy. Spirits send off energy. The nasty send off energy, and so I only want to be around people that have a positive energy about them. Those are the ones that help to feed you positive energy to help you grow. And so when I come across somebody that's negative, the first thing I do is I put that black ball because I'm like, you don't need to be doing that. And this way they can't hurt themselves and they can't hurt anybody else.
It's like a metaphysical straitjacket.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't do it out of anger, out of spite, or anything like that. I do it out of protection. Because if I do it out of anger, that's going to come back on me. Because they always say it comes back on you tenfold. I wholeheartedly believe that, and I've
Harm
had it
ye
happen.
none.
Yeah, so I harm none when I do it.
Well,
So
there's an interesting personal story with us and you
Which one?
Well, I think you put some bubbles around us.
Yes, I did.
Well,
Mm.
tying, if y'all are watching episode 1 of the podcast, Ryan said that Dylan was the king of scratches.
Was.
Mallory is the person I mentioned that he met somebody. Mallory is that person, and you haven't been scratched since this metaphysical bubble has been put around you. So, I mean, for people who are listening, you're like, what is this? What is she talking about? It's this metaphysical thing that whether you believe in it or not, it has yielded positive results. So there you have it.
That's true. Yeah, I've never. Yeah, I used to get like in that last episode, I posted a picture of my scratches that I got in the Lone Wolf. Yeah, Toby used to tear me up like every time I go to Hill House. Yeah, she knows. Every time I go to Hill House, I don't know if it was exactly Toby, but the ones that were big and nasty and crazy looking were definitely him, in my opinion. But yeah, it hasn't happened since. Now, and I can't, and just to be transparent, I went back and forth as like, since I started believing in,
Mhm.
Michael looking over me, or was it you? I'm not sure. I just know,
I think it was both.
and that's what I've
I
come to the
really do.
conclusion of is that, the help from multiple like angles, you know what I mean? Like on this plane and above, you know what I mean?
Well, and like I explain it to people too, it's like you read in the Bible, the armor of God, the shield, the armor, the protection, and that's kind of what the the white one is. It's the armor of God. It's keeping you from all that negativity and all that ugly stuff that's out there, and helping you to be mentally better for yourself, physically better for yourself, so that you can be better for other people. Mentally you need to be right, in order to be right for other people. And so that's what that helps with.
So is this what priests do when they don their armor before they do exorcisms? Are they literally just putting a bubble of light around them?
If they are, I would be surprised, to tell you the truth.
Oh, okay. Interesting. I mean, I'm not, like I said, I'm not a Catholic. I'm not a religious person.
I'm
I
not
don't
Catholic either. I'm Southern Baptist, and
Hmm.
that is like a whole different ballgame. Holy crap.
So I've heard.
Holy hell. And that's all there is hell. Hell and damnation is all they ever preach. And you're like, okay, there's other subjects. Just saying.
Mhm.
But from what I've seen when priests go in to do an exorcism, and what bothers me is that they tell them, oh, it could come back. So when I go do something like that, they can't come back. I put that armor there.
Have you witnessed an exorcism? Not of your own doing, but of someone else's, like in a ritual or
I've
a rite,
watched a
or
video of one, and what they do is if they're wholehearted believing in what they do, that goes with anybody and what you do.
that's true.
It's all your intention. If your intention is there to get rid of what's there and to make it better for the family, that's what makes the difference. But if your intention's not there, you're not wholly believing what you're doing or what you have to use, like holy water, it's not going to work.
Have you seen Have you seen the video, The Last Exorcism, Father Amorth's Last Exorcism? Is that the
I've
one?
seen parts of it.
And it's interesting because native Italian
Mhm.
here, right? I had showed her the video and she's like, that's actually weird. Can you touch on why? Do you remember why you said it was weird?
Just what she was saying, the lady, yeah, because the lady that was being exercised, she was speaking Italian, and I think, yeah, that's okay. Now I remember. She was addressing the priest using the polite form. So anyone that speaks Spanish or Romance language, they know there's like a polite form when you address someone that you still want to show respect for. And I found that pretty interesting that supposedly the devil or the entity that was possessing this woman was using the respectful way to address the priest. I thought that was pretty cool. Um,
It would be different because usually, from some of the ones that I've heard about and read on, is that usually they're cussing at him and calling
Oh, she
everything in the
was.
book.
mm-mm.
So I'm like, yeah.
She
Yeah.
wasn't she?
Yeah,
I'm not going to repeat
absolutely.
what she was saying on
Yeah,
here because
yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
bad. Like
I
it
don't
was.
know if she was so much cussing at him. She was using bad words for sure. But I don't know. But maybe this ties into the question that I had in mind. So you said that someone has to really believe in what they're doing. Does that entail believing in supernatural entity, a good force, such as God or whatever we would call it? So if someone does not believe in that ultimate good, is it possible to do what you do, for example? Is it possible to protect people?
That's a hard question because, well, and I shouldn't say it is a very good question. So some of like I went to Paracon this past weekend, which was amazing, by the way. And you get around people that believe in the universe. So instead of saying God, it's universe. And I have found that a lot of mediums that I've come across and talked to, they believe either in God or universe itself, which to me is just another way of saying God. That there is a higher power there. Now, do I think you need the higher power to do it? I think in some aspects, yes, because you need that positive reinforcement. So when I connect with the universe, the reason I'm doing it and also grounding at the same time is because, especially when I'm helping somebody, I want to wash out the negative, and when you wash out negative, you can leave a void in your system. Well, guess what's going to fill back up? Probably something negative, unless you fill it with the positive, which is what the universe does. So the universe can push it all the way down, push it down into Mother Earth so that she can cleanse that negative, but you're filled with that positive, and that way you keep that positive attitude and outlook and keep the positive when you're going into doing something like an exorcism or whatever the case may be. Because if you go in with bad, you know, ugliness and negativity, all you're going to do is feed that. You're going to feed what's there. And then don't be surprised if you get scratched or whatever the case may be, or they come home with you because now they found a new host.
I found the Exorcist video, by the way.
Yeah, it's got
I
that.
don't know if the audio will play
Mm.
if I click it, but
It probably will, but what we can do is we can record it after the
yeah,
fact, and then we can put it
Mhm.
up on screen
Mm.
at that portion of the
the
video.
woman on screen's like violently contorting. It's bizarre.
And the funny thing is like in that video, there is a very strange sound to her voice. It's almost,
I call it multiple baritones.
yeah, yes, like layers to her voice. It's so weird, but yeah, that's a weird one. But
Well, that goes with the basically Satan saying that they're legion. So that's where you get sometimes the different tones or even different voices completely and multiple with one person. And it's because he's legion. He's got many. Um, I guess you want to say spirits, entity, whatever the heck you want to call them, but it's many. And so, when they do a possession, a lot of the time they'll tell you that there's more than one there. There might be two, three, there might be 20. Who the heck knows? I found one where I think they said that there was like 15. And so every time they did an exorcism, that was one more that they got out and another one that they got out until they finally got them all out. I've not come across anybody like that. Um, could I do something about it? Abso-freaking-lutely. Will I do something about it? Oh, yeah. Bring it on.
Well, let's talk about that for a second. So, we're talking about, have you seen an exorcism? Yeah, I don't know if you call them exorcisms, but like cleansing a space or kicking spirits out. Like, have you done that and can you talk to us about that? Describe a little bit more about some of your experiences there.
So we're going to go back to balls.
Hooray.
My white one. So I have what I call my kind of my atomic bomb. So when I go in someplace, and especially if it's really heavy, a lot of negativity, and you just know, it's just like, for me, it just kind of makes you like, ick. I go in with my atomic ball. So what it is I have a round ball that I put in like dead center of building or wherever I'm at, and I literally will pop it like a balloon and just let that just go everywhere, all the nooks and crannies of the building or wherever I'm at. And what it does, it helps push all that negative out. And some entities, especially if they're weak, it will actually just they go away. They don't exist anymore. Heaven, hell, they just don't exist anymore. It completely wipes them out.
So, is this mental exercise sort of a way for you to bring your own willpower against them in a way?
That for me, it's almost like channeling because I've been given a gift by whether you want to say God, the universe, whatever the case may be. I've been given a gift to use. And so they tell me what I need to do, or at least give me that sixth sense of knowing what I need to do right then and there. And like I said, guardian angels, they speak to us. They also help us with a lot of that. And so mine does quite often. And so I listen to them, when it comes time to get rid of something and what I need to do to get rid of them. It's nice when I have people also that I can talk to and bounce ideas off and kind of what they get from the situation, which is with Paranormal Freaks Anonymous, most of us are mediums. And so we help each other and we've learned from each other. I guess I could say I'm kind of the most furthest in my gift, but I still learn from the others too. And so, yeah, when I go in, it's the atomic bomb. And then if it's something stronger, I'm fixing to play and I'm fixing
Well,
to have
what?
some
Hold on.
Mm.
fun.
What is stronger than your atomic bomb?
Hmm.
Not much of anything.
Mhm.
What?
It's
Sorry, I was gonna say, like, when we're talking now, I don't know how common this is, probably not so much, but correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, there's not a lot of times where we're dealing with like
no.
straight up demons, right? Like, like the high powers, you know what I mean?
So what I've come across isn't demons.
Or whatever they are.
So what it was explained to me, and actually, to me, I agree with this. So humans have been on this earth for thousands of years, and once we kind of started with religion, however many thousands of years ago the first religion became, when we started also learning the difference between wrong and right, and negative and positive. So negative, the more you're negative, especially with yourself and in your life, you can actually create your own attachment. And they start out small, and the longer you stay negative, the more it feeds. And then eventually it gets to where you're not enough. So it can detach itself and either go to a place where it can be around multiple people with negativity, or it'll find another host. And so that's a lot of the time what I end up dealing with is either somebody that's got the attachment or one that used to be an attachment, but now it's kind of like free for all. They've gone into a place where it's like a buffet and they are feeding off of absolutely everything negative that they can come across. So you kind of get a gamut of things, and this can go back even to American Indians, Native Americans, and they talk about a lot of this. That's when they get into like the skinwalkers and stuff. But these entities, there's some that have been here for thousands of years. Well, it came from previous humans, and I think that's how some of them develop. Now, it doesn't say that there aren't demons, because there are, but I think most of what we come across is ones that
It's
humans
like
have made.
a human soul that becomes more in a way, but in a negative way. Yeah, which skinwalkers are just like shamans that are like shapeshifters, right?
They're
Yeah.
like, like black Native American black magic. They've devoted themselves to become black entities, right?
Yeah, in Judaism, it's what Dybbuk. They're human souls that have, for all intents and purposes, they behave and act like demons do.
Yep. I've actually come across a skinwalker before.
Do tell.
Yeah, because there's not a lot in the paranormal world that scares me. Like, Toby talking's creepy and makes you anxious, but nothing actually like makes me unsettled like Native American.
Well, you've come across
spirits.
them.
I have, I think, at Hill House up on the hill. I think, but I want to hear.
I guarantee you there's one there.
We experienced
So-
one with you,
Well, the one
I
that
think.
I experienced, this has been probably a year ago, was with my friend Katie. We got over to meet a friend of hers, Shelby, and I'd never met Shelby before, so I got to go meet her. So we were going over to this little cemetery that wasn't far away, and I see this huge black dog running. And of course, most people can't see it, but I could see it. I mean, it was as big as a table and probably yay tall. At least it
So
was
massive.
We're talking
huge.
dire wolf here, like a mythological beast.
Yes. And so I'm like, why is this thing here? Well, once we got to the cemetery, I figured out that's where it was coming from. There's a portal there, and which was insane too. But Shelby, when I met her, her stepdad had actually done a lot of bad things. And the reason that wolf was there was to get him to either change your ways or this is what's going to happen. Well, he died of cancer 6 months later. So now it's switched to her mother because her mother's not a good person either. And the mother's getting worse. And so now I've seen, I guess you could say, the owner of that particular skinwalker. And the way he's shown himself to me is he looks like the quintessential picture of death. The cloak, the skeleton face, the bones, and you can literally see him standing there with his hand on top of the wolf's head. And
Mm.
it's
It's
Gives me
Whoa,
chills.
That
yeah.
gives me chills, as well as I have a friend, Callista, one of my old supervisor bosses from the Air Force back in Oklahoma. She told me a story from when she had a friend in New Mexico, and they were driving through the res. And they were driving, and Callista, please excuse me if I'm getting some of these stories wrong, but from what I remember, she told me that they looked out the window and there was a big ass black dog running. And now they're in the desert in New Mexico, kind of in the middle of nowhere. And there's this big ass black dog running next to the car, like 35 miles an hour. And her friend, her friend looks at her mortified. She said, "That's my fucking dad. We need to get out of here." That's what she told her.
And
Oh man.
that wouldn't be
Mm-mm.
surprising.
Yeah.
And the thing is that because a lot of the time, especially family members try to find other family members to pass along too, that they end up turning into a skinwalker.
Yeah, I believe her dad had passed, right? And like that was his like I don't know how he got
Wouldn't you
to.
want to meet your dad again? And
Apparently not. Now when he's a
In
giant
doggy
black dog.
form.
Well, I mean,
Well,
just because dad's a skinwalker, you know.
Well, I did find out why the dog started to begin with, and because I went out to the house Shelby's living in, and it's on a small ranch, and all I could see in the tree line was Indians, and I was like, "There's a burial ground over there. There's a natural pond over there," and I was like, "There is a burial ground there. I haven't seen it. I know it's
'Cause
there."
a lot of Native Americans, they bury their
Yes.
departed on rivers or lakes, right?
3 weeks ago, I was talking to Shelby. No, 2 weeks ago, because it was when we were doing our investigation here, and I found out that her stepdad and another guy had actually found beads and arrowheads where the mound
Mm.
is, and I was like, "Well, that's what started it, and they haven't given it back." And so I told him, I was like, "If you can get your hands on it, y'all need to give this back as soon as possible, because if this is gonna follow your mom's gonna die sooner than that most people should." She's also an alcoholic. That doesn't help matters. But anyway, I said, "But otherwise, it's going to jump to you because you now know that's there." I said, "So if you ever get a chance to go put it back."
And that's the thing that freaks me out because me and Brian have been thinking about doing like, some investigations into, in some native land. And I always tell him, I'm like, bro, I'm kind of scared because
I would be.
yeah. So it's
I'm
like,
just naive over here. I'm like, can't be that bad. I don't know.
So there's a designated warrior for each Indian burial mound.
I was going to say they have guardian spirits that sit
Yes.
there and they will fuck you up.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. That's
They will fuck your world up for you take something, be ready, because your world is about to go south really fucking fast.
yeah.
And it's not going to
What
get.
if I don't take anything? Will I be okay?
Yes, but if you decide
What if
to
I
do
make
that,
a peace offering?
yes.
We had to do that. Did I ever tell you that story about from Hill House? Okay, because I can't remember what tribe actually like existed in the area of Palo Pinto County in Mineral Wells, right? But the Texas Rangers came through. They slaughtered all the natives, right? Typical, 1800s
Jackasses.
behavior, right? However, long story short, my friend Philip and another girl Riley that were there at the house with us, they brought an attachment back, and the owner of Hill House, she messaged me. She said Kylo and Shoba. There's a whole conversation on what goes with this, but I'm going to keep it short to keep it as private as I can. But she said Kylo and Shoba. Kylo means sky, Shoba means beauty. Now, when we got back from the house, they were good for like 2 weeks, right? This is like the condensed version. But about the day of a month later, exactly the day that we visited Hill House, they both woke up from vicious nightmares with scratches. Philip had one on across his chest, and then Riley had one across her back. And so anyway, so this that whole time, I have my buddy Nathan and Philip were living with me in the house in Oklahoma City. Alice has been in that house. That house was haunted as it is already, but however, we won't get into that. But anyways, it just felt like somebody was going to axe murder you when you would walk near my room. Of course, my room, right? For like weeks. So there was a coyote. His name was Christopher Sutton. He's no longer with us. He passed away. Kathy put me in contact with him, and he told me that we needed to go back to the house. We needed to take dirt from the backyard. We needed to put it in a bucket, and we needed to take it back to Hill House. We needed to make a mound, get tobacco, something to offer the spirits on the hill. Because where we were military, so he thinks that they were upset with us because military Texas Rangers, right? The paramilitary, if you will, were the ones that Sorry, Brian's gonna go reset the cameras. Paramilitary, they were the ones that killed them, right? Anywho, so we do the whole thing. We do the peace offering, and because my house was like edgy for like a while, right? And we're
Oh,
like,
I'm
dude, we need to make
sure.
this stop.
Yeah.
And so anyway, so we go there, we go to the house, and we make the peace offering. We say we're sorry, we didn't mean any disrespect. We never did anything. We never did anything to upset anybody other than just like be there, right? We're like, we're sorry, like please take this offering, X, Y, Z, blah, blah, blah. And we go in the house that night. It was literally like the spirits like left and turned the lights off because we asked them. This was when we were a little naive to Hill House, and like we wanted, we're like, oh, nothing bad, mess with us, right? But hey, we asked and nothing happened. Nothing happened. And we asked for that specifically, like, hey, if anything's bad, because it's pretty much all bad. Not all bad in Hill House, but it's pretty intense haunting, right? And anyways, Philip goes to sleep on the floor, and he wakes up in like a cold sweat. He goes, he gasps. He like gets up, and he's like, right? I'm like, dude, what happened? He goes, you're never gonna fucking believe this. I was like, I probably will, but go ahead. He goes, dude, I was riding on the back of a fucking eagle in the sky. And I turned around and there was like a dude in Native American garb.
That was a gift to him.
And he looked at me and I looked at him and he stuck his arm out and we went like this. And as soon as I went like that, I woke
Wow.
up. And
That
he
was
never
a
had
gift.
any.
Yeah, I do too. That was a
I got
gift.
goosebumps from that one.
Yeah, that was a
Whoa.
gift back to him, letting him know that everything was okay.
That's exactly what I told him. It gives
Yeah.
me chills. Yeah.
Wow.
He literally like, he like jumped off of the floor. He was like, that was insane.
That's an amazing gift because that
Whoa.
is extremely rare to get a gift like
Mm.
that from Native American spirits. Because usually you have to be Native American for the ancestors to give you that kind of a gift. So
Whoa.
that's amazing. Absolutely
Mm.
Maybe
amazing.
they felt like, yeah, we should do them a solid because we kind of misunderstood their intention.
I just found it profoundly interesting because we did exactly as Christopher said, and he was like a renowned coyote. Like people respect. He was a highly respected shaman, and it worked. And what's interesting is said you got to be part of the tribe. And you were telling the skinwalker stories. I remember I had a buddy in the Air Force when I was at Aviano. His name was Anthony. He was can't remember what he was, like Fox, or I can't remember what, one of the Dakotas tribes. And actually no, Nebraska. He was Nebraska, but I think his tribe was Fox or Sioux or something like that. I can't remember specifically, but he told me crazy stories of skinwalkers. Like literally, they would be doing their because since he was part of the Church of America, Native American Church, he was allowed to drink the medicine. He was still allowed to do that because he was he was in the church, so he could do that in
Yeah.
the military. He had a waiver, right?
That's amazing.
But when they would do their medicine circles, which is peyote for people who don't know, I don't know if it was the medicine or what, but he would tell stories of like people that were sober in the tent during the medicine circles that they would like coyotes or like foxes would be like walking on their back legs like up to the shelter that they were in, and they would like be like walking around, dude. I swear to God. Now this is what
They
he
said
told
they're
me.
Wow.
sober. So, I mean,
No. The people that were sober also saw it, right? You know what I mean? And yeah, there were like these creatures. He said foxes, like small dogs.
well, maybe like humans consuming, a psychedelic plant like that, maybe that sends some kind of beacon to animals and spirits and minerals and
Yes.
plants. And
I've told people on multiple occasions, because I have some people in my life, whether friends or family or whatever, that do psychedelics, right? And I asked one of those people, I said, and we were talking about Hill House, right? I was like, could have sworn, I'm
We're s-
sorry,
we're seeing ghosts.
I could have sworn I had just seen a black like something or other like on the stairs, and it was like, anywho, very distracting.
He's a little peeper.
little peeper.
Yeah, he
That's
does
what
that
they
every
do.
so often. Just
Who
to
Who is
screw with
it?
you.
Who is it? She's sensing.
That one's David.
Oh,
yeah.
that's the special needs guy, right?
No, that's Jose.
Jose. Okay,
No, this is David. David
He's
kind
the Navy guy. I'm getting it all messed up.
that's Joe.
of exactly.
Yeah.
So David, so his favorite medium when she comes in is April. David, I don't remember what he did to be put in jail here, but he likes to be here. He started out as a bully, but he kind of quit doing that. But he'll peek every so often down through here.
I was gonna go into psychedelics, and I guess I'll just finish the comment. My individual I was talking to, he goes, "That would literally be spiritual." That's what he told me. just to go into a place like
Mm.
that and take like psychedelics in large doses. He's like, I wouldn't recommend that. But
I don't go anywhere. If I'm doing anything as medium, I do not drink. I don't do any kind of drugs because of that. It can cause you to me weaken the weaken your protection, but it also can enter your head a little bit. It can't like attach to your head, but it can really screw with you.
well, that's what he said, and he's
Mhm.
not a medium, right? He was just
Yeah.
like, that's literally just gonna blow your doors open
Yeah.
like nobody's business, and then
And
you're
you're
really
gonna see shit
fucked.
you don't want to see. Yeah.
Because my buddy Ryan's like, yeah, I'd like to do mushrooms one of those times in Hill House. He's like, I want to see the whole cast. I was like, dude, I literally don't want to see Toby. I don't want to know what he looks like. You already
Yeah.
described what he looks like. I don't
Ugh.
want to see him. So I'm good. He's like, oh crap, there's Joshua, there's Willie, there's Toby. Holy crap. Like, nah, you can keep that, buddy. I'm good. I'm good.
Ugh.
So you don't want anything to
Mm.
fuel your nightmares.
No, I mean, I told
Mhm.
you about that nightmare that I had where with the
Oh, yeah.
tormentor. Did I tell you that?
Tell me again, because
Brian, did I tell you that?
Yeah, you told me.
You were at a show,
you had a
right?
very profound
Yes, I would
dream
add that.
about a particular demon. Yeah, go ahead. It's your
Dude,
story, man.
Yeah, so just because we're on the topic about seeing thing or whatever, I was laying down and I fell asleep, and I never have I haven't had an interactive dream, like a dream you can feel since I was like a teenager, right? And
Mhm.
I'm 29, about to be 30 this year, and this was what, 2 years ago. So
Yeah,
27,
exactly.
27. I was probably
Yeah.
27.
Mhm.
Anywho, so I fall asleep and I'm in my apartment. That we had just got back from Hill House. Okay. We're in the apartment, and in my dream, we're in my apartment, and I wake up and I'm on the couch, and I'm sitting there and I'm just like watching TV or something, and then the TV shuts off. I'm like, oh, that's weird. And then I feel the fucking strongest, sharpest hands I've ever felt grab me by my shoulders and just slam me onto the couch face down. And I feel the claws go into my neck, into my traps, right? And it's strongest thing I've ever felt in my life. And it slams me. And then, when you close your eyes and someone like puts their hand in front of your face, you can like spatially feel them.
Mhm.
Same thing, but right on the back of my head, what it said, I'm the tormentor, and I'm going to, damn, what did I say? It said, I'm the tormentor, and I'm going to show you what hell sounds like, or something like that. And he goes, just like this guttural metal, like screaming, just so loud. It was so crazy. And I viscerally like understood it was like inhuman, right? And I'm screaming, I'm screaming, terrified. I've never been that scared in my entire life, literally ever. And I was like, I said something along the lines of like, God, please help me. And I was like saying all these things like, He's the way, He is the light. And our doors had the French doors that out to the patio, and this winged creature flies and busts through the French door glass.
Dude, you had a biblically accurate angel show up.
Huge wings, huge like grayish white like wings. It like comes corkscrewing like a freaking action movie. And this thing lets go and just takes off down this like very like dream like elongated hallway, which doesn't exist in my apartment, but in this it did, into the darkness, and this thing just flies after it, and I wake up.
And I know which angel that was. And people won't categorize him as an angel. Lucifer.
Wow, that takes me back for a second. Hold on. I mean,
Well,
I know Lucifer is the angel.
another word for Satan.
Yes. Right.
Supposed to be a fallen angel.
Yes.
So I don't believe that, because that was made up to be that way for basically when Catholicism and all that started. Did you know that actually you can look at old mosaics and I guess their idea of a demon or the devil was actually blue and not red. And yeah. So to me,
A lot of
Lucifer,
Hindu traditions, the gods are blue, yeah, and all that.
I don't think Lucifer's a fallen angel. I think that God asked him or appointed him to be over hell. Because to me, I've seen him. And
Mm.
There are a lot of Christians rolling over right now.
oh, I know.
But he
If
is
my
the
mother
light.
heard this, she would
Oh,
look at me
yeah,
like
yeah.
I was nuts. But I'm telling you, I know what I feel and I know what I see. And yeah, the whole red horns and all that bullshit is just bullshit. Hell is not fire. I've seen a glimpse of it. It is a black void. You could be right in, like within inches of somebody and they don't know you're there. They can't hear them. They can't see anything. They're just there.
Just existing in.
Yes. And they're hell.
Well, that comes into the whole theological question, right? We're not here to preach religion or go against any one direction. It's a lot of people think, well, yeah, why would you appoint somebody who's evil and wicked to punish all the evil and wicked people? Wouldn't that make him the good guy? I mean, technically.
Yeah.
That's a great point. Yeah.
Because
But
you're getting redundant in that, basically.
It's it's interesting because it's like, well, these demons are like the punishers, you know what I mean? Because it's interesting because the tormentor, I looked that shit up and it really freaked me out. Guess who the tormentor is?
Who?
Asmodeus.
Oh, good God.
I know that that's not who you think Toby is.
No, he's
but,
not.
However,
If I thought that, I would say so.
I know, but the correlation of the theory of Toby being right, one theory, right, is that he is Asmodeus. And when I looked that up, and it could just be subjective association, like, confirmation bias. I saw that, I believe that. You know what I mean? It really sent me over the edge, though. I was like, no way.
But you
dude.
putting so much energy into this wicked thing, that could be you sending a beacon out to it.
Well, and remember, they can change their form. They can, because remember when I talked about when we were upstairs, or the creeper. I didn't see him at all the entire time earlier, but then later on that evening, I'm like, what the hell is that thing?
That was
You said that's Toby's master, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
that was a huge moment for me, because the first time I visited Hell House, I just imagined this draconian thing just
Yeah.
on the wall.
It
I'm
just
like,
seen
it.
why
I have
am
a
why
picture.
am I like
Yeah.
thinking of this creature that like?
And y'all didn't even tell me about that. That's why I was like, what the hell is this thing?
I'm about to
Yeah,
pull-
when
I'm
you
about
said
to pull
that,
it
I
up
was
right
So-
like deeply disturbed in like your ability to like. I'm like, wait, I've thought about like the same thing in this house, like just mentally. I'm like,
I've seen
Yeah.
him. Multiple people have seen him.
And see, and y'all never even told me that. And,
No,
and
we
this was
didn't.
after I'd already done my walkthrough. So we were just goofing off. And I'm like, what the? And I didn't feel it in the house.
This is my AI rendition.
Yes. Except what I see is no legs. It's like shredded at the bottom of it.
You know what's mad
Oh.
funny is I've never seen it, dude.
it's
I've
got
not-
like a tail.
It's almost like a tail, but for me, it's like shredded, like a shredded T-shirt. Something that's just grabbed
Ooh.
hold of it and shredded it.
Like a
Ooh.
zombie or something.
Yeah, and
Oh
it's
my
just the
it's-
upper
Jesus Christ.
torso and the arms and the head.
It's
And
like,
it was just
to
sitting
me,
there
it's like
just-
draconian in a way,
Mm.
and like made of this amalgamated flesh. That's the way I.
Oh God.
Oh, whoa.
It's like
All
some-
I know is
Am,
he
I- am I
doesn't
right?
stay.
Am I?
Yeah.
I'm on the money.
Yeah.
There you go.
All I
Maybe
know is
I'm
he
a
doesn't
psychic,
stay
I
in the
don't know.
house though. But I couldn't figure out where he comes from. But yeah, he's the puppet master. Is basically the best way to do it. He's
is what
Toby's
Ryan was-
puppet
For
master.
people who aren't into the paranormal or listening and they're like, what the hell are they talking about? When you're in a place, you can mentally envision some of these beings. If you make a connection with them, you'll start to either actually see them or mentally have a very strong image of them. And for those of you who know what I'm talking about, like, oh yeah, that's 100% true. If you don't, that's what I'm describing.
Mm-mm. Have you ever encountered an entity that you were not able to control?
No.
Okay.
And
Easy.
Next
Next question.
Next question.
and luckily it's because of the gifts that have been given to me and the protection that I have. That's why. Because I know that there's been many mediums that have come across ones that they were just like, I don't know what else to do. Or priests for that matter. And they literally walk away. And I've been blessed. And the gifts that I have still humble me, will humble me for the rest of my life, because I know it's not something everybody has. And I don't want to ever use it for monetary gain in any way, shape, or form. Because to me, I think a lot of people lose it when they do, or it diminishes. And I want it for good. I want it to always be to help spirit and human, both, in whatever way I can do that.
And we've offered, and we have offered her money to come out. She came all the way to Mineral Wells from Floresville. That is almost a 5-hour drive. And we're like, please let us give you some money for either lodging or gas, or she wouldn't accept
No.
it. She said no.
Because I don't want it to ever be for monetary gain, because even though you guys were giving it in good intention, it's just that's how strongly that I want to make sure that my gifts stay intact so that I can help and not diminish in any way, shape, or form.
Why do you think money diminishes it? Like, I guess from a metaphysical or spiritual aspect or angle.
I think it becomes part of the human side of us. because we need money to live and do what we need to do, but that that side of us can become so in what's the word I'm looking for? Absorbed in the money thing and wanting to make money and you know, and oh, I can charge $100 to do this, do a reading or this or that. When it stops being about the spiritual part of it and it starts being about the human side of it, the money hungry part of it, that's where I think that it starts to diminish it, because it's not what these were given for. These were given to us by a higher power to do good, not to make a living from it in a negative way.
And that would be my next question, actually. So, what do you think is the purpose of people like you? Like, why are there people like you in the world? Why isn't maybe God intervening, him, her, whatever itself? What's that all about? Like,
So the way I look at it is we are we're the ones from that God has given us the gift to help intervene, to help whomever's here. Whether it be just listening to a spirit and helping them cross over, whether it's being walking into somebody's house and going, okay, yeah, there's something that's not good here. I'm here to help you take care of that. I'm here to make things better for you. That all comes from God. It comes from our the archangels. It comes from our guardian angels. All of that comes from God. He doesn't directly talk to me, but my guardian angels and all that have that connection, and they're the ones who are like, okay, this is what you need to
So
hmm,
mediums are like, in a sense,
kind of that go between.
yeah, it's like you got the
mm-hmm.
big boss, right? And then you got the supervisors, and then you have the people doing the legwork. You know what I
Yes.
mean? It's a
Agents of
hierarchical
good.
Yes.
agents of good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, I'm looking down at the pod track. We're going on an hour and 12 now.
Should we touch up on
Hmm.
where we're sitting a little bit?
Yeah, we can spend a couple of minutes on. Yeah, we should talk about that because this is such a
We went
cool
off on a
place.
tangent.
We
It
did,
just-
which
and
is
that's-
fine.
Sorry.
Well,
Too
I
many
mean, what you have to
interesting
say
things.
is so profoundly interesting. I
Mhm.
think we could do a whole series with
It's
you.
just the hard
honestly.
part about podcasting is like eventually you got to stop talking, right? So we got to.
One of the things I would like to say, disclaimer wise, what I've talked about today is my own belief. It doesn't make me right. It doesn't make me wrong. It doesn't, somebody else's belief doesn't make them right or wrong either. It's what they believe. And if people don't believe what I do, I'm okay with that. That's fine. Believe what you want to and what you feel is comfortable for you. This is what's comfortable for me. And I just want to put that out there, that I'm not saying anybody's wrong in their religion or their beliefs. It's just, this is what I believe. That's what you believe. And that's okay.
Right
So.
on. Right on.
We love that.
Yes. Because yeah, I want you to be able to plug where we're at. But I would like people to know just briefly, just what the Wilson County Jailhouse Museum is and what kind of happened here. Like, if you could give like the crash course, like what happened here, why is it haunted, and who haunts it? If you know.
So, real quick crash course history wise, they started building this building in 1887. It was completed in 1888, and it was a working jail until early 1975. We have had two official deaths here. The very first official one for the county was in 1897, and that would have been Maximo Martinez. And I tell people, look him up. He was not a good person. He was actually known across the United States for what he did. And there was actually over 6,500 people here for that hanging when he was hung.
God damn, because there is a hangman's noose and a drop door upstairs.
So that one's the second one that we know official wise that happened, and we call it the body shoot. When that particular gentleman was hung, as they were bringing him out of the cell, the sheriff at the time was Sheriff Wright. That inmate actually stabbed him 5 times with a shiv. Luckily, it didn't kill him. They took the sheriff to the hospital while his second in command basically dropped the door. When he went through, he went sideways. They had to pick him back up, which, come to find out, was par for the course with those particular doors, and that's why they don't use them anymore. But when they did it the second time was the charm. When they were doing renovations here up in the ceiling, that's when they found the old noose up there. Now, we didn't bring it down because they said even touching it, because it's so old, that it was like falling apart.
Wait, that's real? That's the old noose up there?
No, the one that's hanging down is a new one. The old
Oh,
one is
shoot.
up in the
Yeah, yeah.
rafters.
Oh, okay.
Whoa.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Man.
No, no, no. The old one's up in the rafters.
I've
though.
never seen it. You have to show me after this.
I can't get up
Can
there
we-
to look.
Well,
Can we
Yeah.
have it?
Yeah, yeah.
Can I buy it off you?
Yeah, no.
If I could get it from up there, I would
He's
definitely
tall.
display it.
He's tall.
Wow. Yeah.
Where
Can't
I'm
touch
not
it, she
sure
just said.
exactly
Yeah,
where
no,
it's
don't touch
at.
it.
I know it's around where the noose is that we have there now. And by the way, it's not an official noose. It doesn't have all of the knots in it, just so everybody knows. But it is up there, and that particular one, there is a picture of it, and I can't remember where the picture's at. But if I can find the picture, I'll send it to you guys so you can at least see where it's at in there. So yeah.
What do people what kind of haunting here? We know we've established this place on our own as a very bona fide haunted location, like probably actually one of the most haunted in the very well the South Texas area, if not all the state of Texas, for sure. Like there's no doubt in my mind. Like
Yeah.
what happens here?
So Maximo is one of ours that actually does some haunting. We also have Jose, which he was a gentleman that had dementia. They housed him here at the jail because no other place could, and he died of natural causes here. We've had 2 suicides. I've come across both of those spirits here. We've of course had the 2 hangings, and the second hanging, yes, that one is here also. And we also have some from the outside because people are like, well, do all of them here have to do with jail? No. We have a female upstairs in the house side of the jail, along with 2 children that stay on the house side of the jail. So we kind of have a little bit of everything. And we've had, we've used dowsing rods, they go crazy in here. We've used instruments, those go crazy in here. The favorite thing though is like cat balls and the light pods. And we get a lot out of those, just like a yes or no and things like that. So we've actually had the Kling brothers here before. They had, the show Ghost Lab, and they did a series here not long ago too, after you guys did. So I always refer people though to MP Paranormal because the one you
Thank you.
guys did, I love, and become friends with you guys, and
Got some good
so
activity that night.
yes,
Very
That
audible
Polaroid
activity.
was one of the.
y'all need to come back because it has amped up some. So y'all definitely need to come back
Again,
and do it
bro,
again.
dude. Literally, we're talking about
And
it.
make
I've
sure
seen
you
it
bring
again.
Alice because I know that you will get a kick out of it.
I think we're not going to stay like too incredibly late, but if it's okay, we might go upstairs while it's dark now.
Oh,
to
absolutely.
Maybe spook around for a minute. And just,
Absolutely.
we won't go too crazy, but
Yeah.
I know
Definitely.
Alice has worked a
8
full
hours
day.
later.
I know, yeah. Well,
And
yeah,
Brian,
exactly.
too.
It's
What
not the
about me?
plan.
It's Friday night. Come on.
Let's hang out with
Well,
the living now.
How can people rent this place? What can they do? How can they support?
So go to our Facebook page, which is Wilson County Jailhouse Museum, Floresville, Texas, because there is a Wilson County in Tennessee. So make sure it's Texas. And it has our email address on there, and they can send out an email, and it's $300 to have a investigation here, and we'll do it from 8 to no later than 2 in the morning. Now, hopefully, we will be doing overnights twice a year. We're going to do kind of a test run in June, doing an overnight. And so we'll kind of see how it goes. And then hopefully we'll be offering that every 6 months because we're volunteers here. So we don't get paid to do this. And we all have lives, children, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
I figure twice a year should be enough. And we should be okay with that.
And all the funds, they support this building and the history of Floresville, don't they?
Yeah, it helps to maintain the building that we have because we probably have one of the most well-maintained buildings, museum-wise, that I've seen in a long time.
Beautiful.
It is.
Yeah. It's
We're very
it's
proud
got
of it.
AC too.
Yes,
It
AC and
does.
heat all year
It
long.
does, yeah.
So you'll be inside. You won't be sweating out in that Texas heat during the summer, just saying.
And well, that's fantastic. I think the last thing I want to ask is with you being able to hear through to the other side, I know a lot of people might want to know what's the most common thing that spirits tell you from the other side that they may want to relay to like the living.
And what's funny is there's nothing common because each one is different. What they want to say because they, I can say, like a lot of them do, well, there's somebody here that their uncle, died of a heart attack. Well, if you've got 50 people in the room, I can guarantee you probably at least 2 out of that group probably had that
Yeah,
happen.
the fishing, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't do fishing. I'm like, either your guardian angel and who's with you is going to talk to me or they're not. And if they don't, I'm going to say so. And if they do, I always let whomever that is, either you need to let me know something that's unique between the two of you. I did have one young lady, I wasn't even going to do a reading for her, and I was helping with something else. And all of a sudden, her guardian angel stepped forward. Well, it was her grandmother. And of course, I didn't know this. And I was like, okay, this is what I have to tell you that she looks like. She wants me to make sure she has red lipstick. She's wearing a red cardigan, red earrings, and a jean jacket. Like, it was very, very specific with white hair that's like chin length. Once I break the connection, she pulls a picture out of a box and shows me the woman that I just described to her, and it was her grandmother.
Hmm.
That was very, very humbling, and she was in tears.
Wow. So I guess on our way out here, everybody now knows that there isn't a common message.
No,
And that if you
there
do
is
start
not.
getting common messages
Mm.
and stuff like that, they're probably full of shit.
Yes.
So with that, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been a
Thank you.
pleasure talking to you. We've had a lot of fun.
Thank you guys for inviting me. I love this. Anytime
Thanks
you want
for
to do it
having
again,
us.
I'm here. I promise.
Podcasting's fun, right? Yeah, it's a good
Heck
sit
yeah.
down, have a conversation.
I have so
but-
many more questions. Yeah, I got to do it again.
I know, yeah. It's there's so many questions to be asked, but not enough time. So
To be continued. How's
to be
that?
continued, yeah. Well, maybe we'll come back and
Love
do
it.
another one.
Oh, I would absolutely love it. You guys know that you're always welcome to come here. Always.
Sounds good. And with that, I think we'll go ahead and sign out. So thank you for everything, and we'll see everybody next week.
Bye.
Bye.